they said he's quite busy. It's a pity, and I'm still working on the study group about the row calculus by Greg. And we are working on some slides, and we are making some slides with another member named Whisper, and 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 that's all. Do you have any question or something?
Yeah, I actually have a very quick question. Will somebody please scribe? So somebody should take notes, be a scribe. I tried to, but I'm not very successful at it.
Yeah, I'm doing the Zoom today, so at least in the beginning.
Are you able to scribe? Is the connection good enough for you? Or Nikitas?
I would have been able to do it, but I'm on mobile now, mostly.
Okay.
I'm right now outside and shopping, and I cannot take some notes really.
Okay, no problem. I'll do that until somebody else comes in and volunteers. Will, right. Have a link to the agenda. Maybe you can edit your portion. Does anybody have questions about Will's group and what's going on? Yeah. Okay, does anybody else have questions for Will, since he's going to be editing his own portion here? I'm interested in the design of computational calculi, Will. Who's going to participate? Have you spoken to them? Have you guys had a chance to look at anything within that?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, and actually, they said that they were quite they are quite busy in July, and I'm trying to figure it out to another way, or okay. Somebody else. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Trench flow. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. And I'm talking to the head. There's a blockchain club in the Zhejiang University. It's in China, in Hangzhou city. And I'm talking to the head of the blockchain club in the university, and I'm asking him if they can provide a meeting room or something, and they said it's okay. But the summer vacation is coming. The students are going home recently, and so we haven't decided the time of the meetup. Yes. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to let you edit that. TrenchFloat is not here. I wanted to talk about the review and voting of budget in reward for the pay period of June by the guides. As far as I can tell, that's not been happening. What's going on? Kit, do you have a comment on that? You're one of the lead guides.
Yeah, basically the lead guides are running behind schedule.
Okay. All right. Any idea, Kit, would you volunteer to like round them up? I don't know what's going on with TrenchFloat. Maybe he's also on summer vacation.
Well, TrenchFloat, I don't know, but he just was on vacation, so I don't think that's the case. And I can certainly try to put out a call to all guides. I mean, the marketing guides are catching up in the last couple days of the month here, but we all pushed it too far, and I think that's the problem with everybody.
Okay, can I put you down for taking this to the next level?
Yes.
Okay, you're on. Is there anybody here that wants to report on the meetup that happened recently in Rchain in Africa, in Nigeria? Okay, I'm going to move that down on the agenda. If somebody,
hello. I want to report on this.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm late.
Hi, Valentin. No problem.
Hello, Alan. The meetup was actually quite successful. We got some developers on. We told them about how Rchain works, the architecture, the community, and also how to use basic Rchain, and also what blockchain is all about. We first of all started by telling them about blockchain, how blockchain works, and how Rchain is building on the blockchain technology and using it to solve some problems from smart contracts. And of course, we gave them some food because we had a lunch break. Then after that, we now introduce them to blockchain, how to pull blockchain using Docker image, and how to create a basic block from using blockchain technology, using Rchain technology rather. That's a summary of the report.
Okay, Valentine, could you edit the minutes section and make sure that you post the link to this stuff? I think what's exciting for me is that you guys have some videos and some background on what's been going on, and I want to watch that.
Okay, I'll post the link to the video here on the Zoom.
Okay, and you need to post it in the issue as well.
No, the link to the video is on the issue on GitHub. The link is there also.
Okay, so if you post in the minutes the link to the GitHub issue, that would be great.
Okay, I'll do that.
I'd like to have a discussion about this Rchain internal blog. Maybe let's let Jim Carver and Gary and everybody have the floor first, though, to describe the dashboard. And I know that Deanna was able to see it, and she's got some impressions of it. This dashboard is one of the best collaborative projects we've been doing. So Jim or Gary, or who's going to speak about it?
I guess I'll start here and get other people's views later. This is the project where we've been collaborating. We have a couple of anonymous. We've got Adi and Alan has contributed to this project. Valentin, David 405, anonymous, Raymond, and Gary. And we can all type in on this, and we and export it to GitHub. And this is the current version in production. We have a cooperatively managed server. Oops, that's not it. Robot.net, which is looks the same, rchainbounty.robot.net. And we have a current development version, which is has a new look and feel that we're working on now. And this one will be released into production soon, where we have the sidebar menus here. And that's current activities of the new work group to bring this up to speed. I don't know if you've seen this. I don't want to spend a lot of time going over it, but
okay. Gary was going to say a couple of words. Gary, were you going to say something about it?
Actually, no, I was just going to ask Jim to say something about it. I'm not in a position to actually share a screen right now. So, thank you.
Okay. Okay, somebody's got nice music playing.
Is it a phone call or something?
I hope that's not me.
I think it might be you, Jim. Yeah. Okay. Is there anybody that has questions? Has anybody not seen this dashboard? It's really an awesome tool.
I can show some of the brand new features. Let's say you don't know who somebody is, like DKCK. You can click on him, go right there to his description. We can see what his rating is. We can see who he's certified by, or who certified him, who he certified and who he's certified by. And all of these open in another window, so you just exit out, you're right back on the dashboard. We added the other label. So we're looking at development here. We can see the other labels on here in case it's, so the guides know whether to, needs smart objective or won't fix or whatever. And fairly recently, we added the votes here so that.
So Jim, I have a question about these new features. Is there an issues link on GitHub that people can see the list of new features and can see and can add feature requests and stuff like that?
Yeah, I have to check the link here. This is a link to, supposed to be a link to the issue. I think it needs to be updated though.
No, what I'm saying is a little bit different. So this is a regular GitHub project. It's got its own repo on GitHub, and I'm suggesting that there be an issues within that repo where you can collect feature requests and note which new features have been done. And we can probably put that link right up at the top so that people know that they can, when they're using your app, the dashboard, they can just go and post an issue if they see something that's broken or could be better.
Yeah, well, I was thinking of that, Alan, but some of the issues put in, we would want to pay bounties on, and the bounty system currently only works with the one GitHub repository. Hopefully we can.
I see. Okay. Yes. All right. Let's take that discussion offline because, you know, as the dashboard is working as well as it is, there might be like 100 requests for upgrades just within the dashboard itself.
Right.
Deanna, you got to see this. Do you have any comments on it, or does any Kit Blake? I know that you've been using it.
Yeah, I had a chance to play around with it. I think it's a really good tool. It makes it a lot more visible what you're trying to look at within the bounty system. I don't have any suggestions for any changes at this point. I think that they're rolling out some new features in there that makes it a lot more usable. So I'm just curious to see what other things they're going to be adding in here soon.
Kit, you've been using it as well, right?
Yeah, I'm using it for the marketing label guiding, and it's really useful. And it was quite funny. I had a feature request for Jim, but I hadn't posted it. And then I went into a meeting and saw the dev version, and the feature was there, which is sorting. So at the top of the table on the left, you see updated and created, and you can use those links to sort the list. And that's what I needed to do to keep on top of all the marketing issues.
Kit, that's awesome. And since you're taking responsibility for the other issues for the monthly reporting, you can let all the other lead guides know that too.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, with this dashboard, do we have more users, more questions?
This shows the budget. In this case, for May, it shows the number of votes. You can click on this and go to the votes. Just wanted to mention that. Questions? And these are smart links here. And that if you use these links to go to the comments, it remembers that you have seen the first 5 issues here, first 5 comments here. And then again, we can't just cancel the tab. You go back, and now it changed colors. So when this goes to 6, this will change back to blue, which shows me that that there's new comments I haven't seen.
Okay, are there any more questions about the dashboard? If not, I'd like to go to this, to a question that I have and a concept that I'd like to get some feedback on. One of the frustrations that I've had is that there hasn't been really a good way for members to contribute things that are maybe unusual or not well defined. And I think that it would be a good idea if we had an internal blog where members could talk about things like what's going on in their local groups, what's going on, what their vision for Rchain might be, stuff like that. And I've discussed a lot about translation. Let me come back to that. But first, what do people think about having a maybe WordPress blog where any member can write a blog that is intended for other members, not for a general audience, that would be understood by somebody that has been working with Rchain and not necessarily everyone?
Alan, I think I have something to say about this. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So for Rchain Africa, we have a forum that we communicate with, but currently now we're not much in the community, so we are barely about 40 or thereabouts. But we use our Rchain Africa forum. I'll send the link very soon in the Zoom, whereby we communicate with ourselves now in the forum. But P. Maman, he kicked against individual. He kicked against communities having their own individual blogs and forum. He said that it should be centralized, more like that. He kicked against the idea of individual forums and blogs. So since then, we've not really had much progress in the forum.
So I'm not exactly sure what you're saying. You're saying that you do already have some local ability to do that. I know that Will has a QQ channel that he moderates that there's a lot of stuff in. But we're not getting the feedback from that back into the cooperative. At least that's my feeling, is that I don't really know what's going on in QQ. I don't really know what's going on within your forums.
And the forum, we made an issue on the forum when we built the forum. The issue is there. I've got the issue number, but we made an issue on the forum, and we've been using this for like a while now. So I think the cooperative is aware of the forum, or about its existence rather.
Okay. Other comments? By the way, Ivan, I'd like to welcome you. You're welcome to comment here. Ivan is, I could say, brilliant developer. Okay.
While we're waiting for Ivan, I just want to say I'm very supportive of the Rchain Africa movement, and you know, we eventually want to have a cooperative established there. I think it's an excellent initiative. I understand that people are saying, well, do we need it now, or what, or should we force 1 million members into one forum? And I think we need as many channels as we can get, particularly when they're tailored towards particular communities.
So Valentine, if we had an Rchain blog, an internal blog that's visible to everybody, but primarily oriented toward Rchain community, would you post about what's going on in the Africa forum, or would you just not use it very much?
Sorry. I think I would actually use the Rchain blog to discuss issues that concern the global community, but the forum will be like issues that concern the African community locally. So I think that's how I will structure my discussion.
So it would be a unifying point for all of the forums globally?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, do we have any other opinions about this right now, or should we move on to the next issue?
You know, I think I'm interested how that overlaps with the member site. I mean, more unofficial. Back in the beginning, I guess a year ago now, I set up a publishing environment, which is based on Ghost, rockstars.dividow.net. And at that time, there wasn't any interest in people participating. And I guess it's a question of whether the Ghost platform, which is really meant as a publishing platform more than a blog type thing, is the right platform. But I think that having a member publishing site that where you know, we were very clear that it's articles from friends of the Rchain community, not the co-op. I guess this should be made in bigger letters. But I definitely support the idea.
I guess one of the concerns would be just having yet another channel for people to find information about Rchain. There's so many different places that people have to go to in order to collect intelligence about everything that's going on within the community and externally. So it would be nice to have some sort of integration with a little bit more formal Rchain, but with the caveat and understanding that anybody who's writing these blogs, they don't speak on behalf of Rchain co-op, you know, that kind of legalese and that sort of thing. It might make sense to talk to Patrick and Kit. I'm sure you can weigh in on this if you're still on the line here. They're working on an official blog. It might make sense to piggyback on that and have some sort of internal one where members can participate in adding in content that way. And I think it would be great for these other, you know, for people working out of Africa or China to be able to filter up that information in a broader way so that the rest of the community knows what's going on. Again, we have so many different channels where we're posting things, and we'll find out, you know, a link here in Discord and something on maybe on GitHub, but it would be nice to have one central location where we have labels and tags, say, okay, I want to know all the posts that are about what's going on in Africa, or I want to know all the posts of what's happening in China. So to have something that's a little bit more centralized, I think would be really valuable, particularly as the co-op starts expanding into other areas. We do have plans of moving into having an Rchain Africa, Rchain Pacific. So, you know, if we have more information on what's going on ground level that's more easily visible, I think that would be definitely a very, very helpful tool. It's just a matter of who's going to be the one supporting this, who's the one managing it and administering it, and then having all the kind of legalese around it as far as, if someone writes something that, that may be controversial, that it's understood that this is written by a member and not someone that's representing the co-op directly.
So Deanna, currently there is a blog on the Rchain site. There's a link to it. So maybe that would be the official blog, and there would be another blog, which is the unofficial blog. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, something like that. But that would be something that we would need to coordinate with, marketing, because they're the ones that are running that whole project.
Okay. That sounds like a good.
Doing that, right?
Yeah. And how is the official blog coming along? I know that there was some discussion of that in one of the older issues.
It's being worked on right now. The same guy who built the WordPress stuff for the member site is working on the blog. And as soon as it's fine-tuned, we're going to put it online, and that will become the official Rchain blog, and we won't be so-called sharecropping on Medium anymore.
Nice. Okay. Any more comments on this unofficial blog? Okay. I'd like to move on to the discussion of interim goals, objective, and metrics of the Rchain bounty system, where I've tried to collect some of the opinions and backgrounds as to what is the purpose of the bounty system. The link is posted in the agenda. I know that some people have contributed to it, and I know that they're familiar with it. Are other people familiar with what's in there? And I wrote a brief introduction. I welcome feedback on that introduction. I know a lot of people are waiting for the official goals and objectives and metrics. Since we don't have the official yet, this is unofficial, interim.
I'm sorry, where is the link in the notes?
It's you've contributed, so you see it. But yes, it's the link is in the notes, and are you seeing it now?
I just have to find the tab. For the notes. Okay, thank you. I'll find the link.
Okay, let me just leave it there unless anybody else has more comments, and you can comment, put additional comments right in the document if there's anything you'd like to say there.
It looks like the link for reward, the elder system goes to the wrong issue.
This is...
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. It's correct. Never mind.
Okay. So this is meant as input into this question. Let me take a slight...
To get the official goals and metrics from?
Sorry, Deanna, what was your question?
Oh, I was saying, who are we expecting to get the goals and the official goals and objectives from? And what's the timeline on that? Do we know?
I'm guessing that, I mean, there's been discussion that Greg is doing that. There's been discussion that You in your role may be working with that in some capacity. The executive committee may be doing that. There's not a lot of certainty about how that's going to play out, which is why I made it an interim report.
Okay, I'll see if I can get some answers on my end.
Yeah, there's a little history there, which is in the last board meeting, Greg asked about metrics and those kind of things and said that we should have metrics and goals. And he asked if the bounty system could come up with them. And HJ said, I think those things should come from the board. Whereupon Greg said, okay, I'll write something up. And then in the debrief, he sort of asked for help from people, and some people picked up on that. And there's an issue about it. And I believe the document that Alan created is leading off from that.
Yes, that's the document associated with the issue. Kit, Deanna, I do have a question about that. There's reference to board meeting. We have a history of delayed publication of board minutes. Does anybody know why our board minutes are delayed? Does anybody speak to Evan Jensen or other people who are responsible for publishing these on time?
People have complained about that regularly, and it hasn't changed.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any visibility into that. I just know that from what I've heard in the past is that they think they just don't have anybody to do that work, so it just falls behind. So I think it's just a matter of keep pushing on it and see if we actually start getting those minutes sooner rather than later.
Okay, I mean, that would help resolve questions like the one we're having right now as to who's doing what. Jim, you had a question?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No, I was thinking there could be, maybe there should be an issue on coordinating with the board on getting the meeting minutes out.
Okay. I would just like to say, go ahead, Deanna.
Oh, I didn't quite understand that, Jim. Is there an issue that's already been submitted on the board members getting the meeting? Oh, he's proposing that. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So that's one way that it could happen. Maybe I'll bring it up at the debrief today, the community debrief. And I mean, I don't like to bring it up really because it's potentially embarrassing, I guess. But this just really does need to get resolved. I would just like to add one thing in case it's not abundantly clear. In terms of goals and metrics for the bounty system, what I find is the biggest problem is the question of what is the purpose of the bounty system. I think that once we establish a purpose, then goals and metrics will follow. But we don't really have the notion of purpose. Jim has said a lot of things about that. I've put them into this interim document. The introduction talks about purpose, and I'd welcome anybody's comments or additions or support or anything else like that in terms of moving this goals and metrics forward. Okay. We can move on to this an alternate voting system or another voting system. I just want to, I've had a lot of pushback in terms of similar to what Deanna said. Why do we need a new system? Why do we need this? Why do we need redundant whatever?
We're losing your audio, Alan. Can you talk closer to the microphone, maybe?
Very simply, by saying that it's not necessarily a redundant system. It is somewhat different, but the basic difference will be that any member will be able to vote. Will they actually vote? I don't know. It might be too much overhead for all of the membership to want to vote on issues. And also, it's stressing this concept of an overall budget for an issue rather than voting on individual members and what they might have contributed. That's going to, in this system, it will be an internal issue as to how rewards would be distributed. So are there questions on that? But I'd also like to say that this will be done in the collab. Jim has provided this wonderful collab environment. It's a channel. If anybody doesn't have a link to that channel, Jim can provide it, or you can DM me. I'll give you a link. And this is a channel that's really set up for member initiatives, for members doing software development within the context of Rchain. Okay, are there any questions on that or suggestions for additional topics?
I'll put the link in the chat. I made a permanent link this time. They expire in a day if you don't choose the detailed option.
Yeah, Jim, could you maybe just say a couple words about collab?
Well, with 50 years in group systems and trying to decentralize organizations and democratic learning, now sociocratic learning, peer learning, work studies, which is perpetual learning, and learning how to collaborate and how to effectively find your team and get that collective intelligence is what the laboratory is really about. What it's for is it's for people who want to get involved with Rchain development effort and really other projects where we're working together. We're doing work together as opposed to individual work. We're getting the data and setting up channels for each of the activities that people want to promote and find a team to accomplish using our collective intelligence to make it a synergetic thing that's better than what any of us could come up with individually. You're on mute, Alan.
Jim, can you post the link to the channel, or how does one find the collab channel on Discord? Jim, you're muted, and I'm having trouble hearing people. Is that just me?
So you went out for a little while, but I can hear everything fine. Everything else fine.
Okay, so we're going to post the channel here. We've got about 5 more minutes. are there other comments on collab or other issues that we need to discuss?
Yeah, Alan, you were starting to talking about translations, and you didn't reference it at all. What you were supposed to speak about? You have your microphone muted, Alan.
I'm having difficulty hearing. Is everybody else fine, or is it just me?
I were talking about that you referenced something about the translation that we're gonna speak later about it. So that's my question.
Sure. Do you want to talk about it? Do you have some questions or some opinions about what's going on in translation?
No, I just opened today the GitHub and saw a lot of issues about the translation. So that's how my question came.
My view of translation is different. It's not the same as everybody's. I mean, different people have different views. To me, translation never exists in a vacuum. To me, translation is you read an important document, you watch an important video. To Rchain, translation is a small piece of what you might do with that. The important piece is how does it affect your community? The important piece is what opinions do you have about the piece that you're translating? What can the membership overall learn from your views of the document from, somebody in a different language group? So doing translation in isolation to me doesn't makes sense, but it's only maybe a quarter of the value. The real value is in offering us the opinions from the wisdom from your local area, from your language group, as to what the document is about, why it's important, how it applies. Does that make?
Yeah. So for example, I need to add some value inside it, like my questions or what I didn't understood or my criticism on it or how I see the whole process and etc. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons why I think it's important to have an unofficial channel, because if we have an unofficial blog, that would be a very good place for collecting this sort of thing and point to the translated document and point to the original document, put your opinions and so forth.
But as I have seen already, there are some unofficial Rchain Medium blogs. So as I saw, it was from Ukrainian, from Spanish, and from Germany as well, and they post the translation there,
So are you talking about posting in local channels, or are you talking about posting in a channel where everybody that's interested in Rchain will see it?
I'm speaking about the Medium blogs of some local groups.
Yeah, so Medium blogs is one way that happens. I agree that Medium blogs is one way that happens. The difficulty with Medium blogs is that they are aimed at a general audience, and so they're good for certain types of articles. But articles that require context, that require knowledge of what's going on inside of Rchain, that require a background about Rchain, those don't really do well as Medium blogs.
Okay, understood.
Yeah, and I know there's work going on, from the where Patrick and I think Peter and I'm not sure who else are on. I think there's an issue on it there where they're going to be guiding translations in terms of specifying what the co-op wants, so that people can come in and join those issues rather than trying to decide for themselves, you know, what's best to publish and where it's best to publish it. I think that, you know, in order for a translation to have value to Rchain, it simply has to have readers. We want, you know, Rchain to be a household word everywhere in the world, and get there before the competition, and get where the competition is, and that, you know, restricting ourselves to fewer channels means that we're not reaching out as we could, particularly if we have members who have energy to get us readers. We just need to guide them.
Yeah, for example, I have like 3,700 people on my Facebook, so I started promoting Rchain on Facebook, you know, and I want to see how it's gonna go and how it's gonna affect people to join our community. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so this is an interesting issue. There's value in translation per se. There's value in getting groups of people on Facebook or in other forums. And I think that there's more value in doing that not in isolation, but doing that in a way that all the members of the cooperative have some sense of what's going on and have easier access, because a summary or a link to what it's about, a review of what's happening in a particular community could be accessible in an unofficial blog. And that could be the subject for more debate. Right now, for this meeting, are there more comments on that issue or new issues? Okay, Nikitas, do you have anything more that you'd like to add right now, or should we continue?
No, I'm happy with what I heard, with what we said, and good luck to the brief.
Okay, so for right now, I'm gonna call the meeting. It's any last words? If not, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Okay, bye everybody.
Bye.
Bye everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.